Hello, I'm Luke Hatfield. Alongside me, we're at Wolves' training ground. Joe Edwards, Wolves correspondent. Joe, we've just spoken to Nuno.
Yeah.
Tough test this weekend. Arsenal, as always, a tough test, says Nuno.
Yeah, of course, but it is a tough test. You look at Arsenal at the moment, looking at their attack in particular. You're at Aubameyangs, you're like Lacazette, even that Martinelli kid who just can't stop scoring in the cup competition. So it is going to be a tough one for Wolves. And it's not exactly a free hit, really.
No.
You know, it's a Big Six club, and Wolves' record at Arsenal isn't very good. They haven't won at the Emirates. I think the last win there is 1979, so you're going a while back. But given what happened on Wednesday, resting the big boys and playing the youngsters in the Carabao Cup as the loss to Villa, I think there's a bit more pressure on this one to at least get a point. Or at the very least, give Arsenal a good run for the money. So, fingers crossed, Wolves can do that.
Yeah, and he's not helped Nuno by the injury situation, of course. No. Certainly not at the back now. No,
I mean, we all know about Willy Bolly. The problem there, he's had an operation this week, could be several months. But Ryan Bennett is going to miss out tomorrow, despite playing at Villa. Groin problem, same problem as what it was originally. He was okay enough to play against Villa, but it seems like he's either had some sort of setback with that. He hasn't trained today, so he's not going to play. Morgan Gibbs-White as well, he's a doubt. I mean, you're looking at Bennett and Gibbs-White, and in all likelihood they probably wouldn't have started anyway. I've got a hunch that Nuno will go with the team that played in the second half against Newcastle. So we'll probably see Dendoncker and Saïss at the back with Cody. But regardless, if you need a bit of defensive steel to come off the bench towards the end, or if you need perhaps a little bit of creativity to try and chase a goal, then you'd like Bennett and Gibbs-White in the squad. But Nuno may well be without both of them tomorrow.
Yeah, certainly not ideal as well, given, as you said, the quality in Arsenal's ranks going forward. Say what you want about Arsenal at the back. Going forward, they're a problem. Aubameyang is probably one of the most feared Premier League strikers. Lacazette is very good. Pepe, I know, hasn't hit the heights, but he's £72 million worth of player. Not to mention more. So it is going to be a tricky game. But given their performances against Arsenal last season, I tell you what, they gave them all sorts of problems.
They did. I mean, we mentioned that they haven't won at the Emirates, but they very nearly did last season, and it was very nearly the perfect away day performance. Got the goal early, Cavallero it was, a really kind of well taken finish on the counter. But then kind of a lucky free, cross-come shot free kick from Mkhitaryan finds its way in late on. Beaten 3-1 at Molineux, pretty much comfortably. No questions asked. It was a sound victory that day. So Wolves can do it, and you'd hope after so many were kind of given a night off on Wednesday that they've got that freshness going into this, and they can have a second half performance for the full 90. That's been the story for Wolves at the moment. They haven't started games well. If you look at the league table based on first halves alone, Wolves will be 18th with 7 points and 2 goals to the name. So that's something to improve. So fingers crossed they can get that sharp start tomorrow.
Yeah, and a lot's been said about Wolves, and they do well against the big sides, not so well against the not so big sides. Is it important for them to kind of kick this habit a little bit? I mean, I know they're playing Arsenal tomorrow, so if they win, everyone will be like, well, they just beat another big side. But it's one which is getting a little bit tired, I think.
Perhaps, yeah. I mean, you're looking at these games over the past couple of weeks where 1-1 draws with Southampton and Newcastle. They're the teams you'd like to be beating, and then you can go into these games against Arsenal thinking, right, anything's a bonus. But it's kind of, it's kind of taking that same narrative a little bit, that they're not really beating the teams around them. Of course, had that victory against Manchester City. That's one of 2 victories this season in the league. The other one being Watford. So Wolves, from a fan's perspective, from everyone's perspective, really, you'd like to see them be beating the teams around them a bit more often and having a bit less pressure going into these games. But the pressure is on a little bit tomorrow. As I say, especially after what happened in midweek. It's kind of, it reminded me going back a few years, but when Wolves made so many changes at United, I think it was the turn of the decade, they made 11 changes and basically rolled over and gave the victory to United 3-0. But people didn't mind what Mick McCarthy did soon after that because they went and beat Burnley 2-0.
Yeah.
So, you know, this game tomorrow has added importance. No one's really expected him to smash 5 past Arsenal or anything like that, but they at least want to see him put in a strong performance and give Arsenal a good run for the money.
Yeah, and lastly, Joe, before I get a prediction from you very quickly, I mentioned Arsenal's defence. It's not the best, to put it frankly. You'd think it would be the perfect game for some of Wolves' forwards, particularly, you know, the ones who have done so well so far, particularly someone like Adama Traore, who could really, you know, have their way on this defence, because it's not the Arsenal defence of old, is it? It
certainly isn't. I mean, you look at their record, I think it's 15 goals scored, Arsenal, but 14 conceded.
Yeah.
So they're not very solid at the back. Gave up a 2-goal lead against Palace last weekend. It was obviously Socrates and Luiz getting the goals, but then both of them were pretty shoddy at the back as Palace got back into it. And I mean, David Luiz, I mean, he's a defender that doesn't really like defending, isn't he? To be honest, he's a good player, but in terms of the hard-nosed defending, I don't think he's the biggest fan of it. And you mentioned there Traore, you get up against Tierney, somebody getting used to the pace of the Premier League after, you know, coasting through the Scottish League with Celtic. So it should be an interesting battle. I think there could be a little bit of joy for Wolves. I think that they could perhaps sneak a draw.
Yeah, would you take a score draw?
I would, yeah, a 1-1. I mean, a repeat of last year. I'd take that. I think they have got a chance of sneaking a 1-1. Maybe 2-1 to Arsenal, but I think they'll give them a good run for the money at least.
Should be a good one, right? For all the latest on Wolves Arsenal, you know where to go. Stay with expressandstar.com.